Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning the Acoustic Guitar Part 29, Chord Structures. So what are we going to be talking about today? Chord structures. It's really subtle. Again, we don't typically use the whiteboard for this series, but we're going to give it a go. But basically I've just been reading this morning. I read over just how other people talk about forming chords, and it's not really clear to me. Again, like as a music student, again, I've clearly written some musical pieces at this point. But when I was initially learning music, just a lot of the words seemed extraneous, didn't really seem to give me a lot of direction. So just pretty much from the ground up, I'm going to tell you how I think about composition, how I approach music theory, and how I particularly learn to compose on the guitar. So this is learning the acoustic guitar, but this one could also be for piano as well, which I do play. I haven't really probably dropped a keyboard piece or a piano piece in, I don't know, 8 months, 12 months. More so just because I don't really have room to set up my piano. But so we'll just ask some simple questions, and I'll tell you about how I approach structuring a piece or learning to play an instrument. And again, this is part 29. If you want to just get a sound out of the guitar, go watch one of the other parts. But we'll just start by asking some very simple questions. What is a chord? It's multiple notes played simultaneously. Again, I'll do an episode on the circle of fifths, but I've yet to use that at all. But we have your 7 tones in your classical Western scale: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You have sharps and you have flats. The sharp, physically, if you sharp, right here is, I don't even know. Here's E. Here's F. You have a half step between E and F, B and C. So F sharp, you raise it up a note. But I don't like the word raising. I like it you literally shorten the string. So sharp is to shorten, and to flat is to lengthen. And so that's really how I think about it. What is a scale? A scale is an order of notes or an order of steps. Right? We have major and minor scales. And this really, like I said, on the guitar, I learned the pattern. Like when here's C major. That's C major. Now, like I said, for the guitar, I like to learn the patterns because it's a lot easier than saying. Like I said, when I'm reading other people talking about music, it's like find the major third or the perfect intervallic fifth. Those words don't really mean much to me. I learn the patterns for the scales on the guitar, but when I'm improvising or composing on the piano, I literally just think of not tonic or root, but bass. Or bass note, your initial tone, and then whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step for a major scale. And for a minor scale, you have your bass note, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. On your guitar, that's just a whole step is moving up 2 frets. On the piano, it's just moving up 2 keys, including the black keys. And so that's really how I think about composition. Not really, again, the perfect triads or the intervallic fifths. Those words don't give me any indication of anything. But what is an interval? An interval is a distance between 2 notes. Or you'll also see people say tones and semitones. I like steps and half steps. It's clear to me. What is a key? A key is a set of resonant notes. And I also have you can see note and tone are both iterations of the same letters. So that was interesting to me. We have 2 types of keys, majors and minors. And so you basically have a scale, and there's some more questions I don't have written up on the board. But what is a mode? A mode is a scalar variation of a key, literally just playing through the notes of a key or of a scale differently. A scale produces a key. Right, if I just play one note, I'm not in a key yet. It depends on what I play next, which that would have been B minor. The first 3 notes of the B minor scale. And so a mode is a scalar variation. A scale produces a key, a set of resonance tones. You have to progress through the scale to produce a key. How do scales create keys? Resonance resolves. What is the relationships of keys and scales? Again, playing through a scale produces a key. And typically when you're going in composition, you'll say, you know, which chords are in this key. It's like, and again, for composition, I don't stick to a key at all. I don't see that as a meaningful thing. But it's a set of resonance tones. And so now, those are really the overarching things about how I approach it. And now I'm going to just take you through probably, again, there's a lot of different types of chord structures, but I'll go through 9 common types. We'll do major, minor, diminished, major sevenths, minor sevenths, major dominant sevenths, suspended seconds, suspended fourths, augmented chords, and extended chords with the 9th, 11th, and 13th notes of a scale. I'll just give you an example. So using the example of C, let's go through some C chords. Again, I'll show you just how they build and how, like, why the names don't really mean much to me. And just looking at it this way, it makes much more sense to me. And again, this is really just more for, like, again, how do I compose? Again, I said I know a bunch of scales, I know a bunch of mode patterns on the guitar. When I'm actually playing the guitar, I don't know what notes I'm playing. And perfect pitch to me isn't being able to, like, I can hum any note that it is, but I couldn't name it. So to me, perfect pitch is being able to recognize the names of the notes, not just being able to mimic them as well. So, like, I would not consider myself to have perfect pitch. But when I'm composing a piece, I just go with what sounds good. Like I said, I don't know the notes that I'm playing, but I can figure it out if I wanted to or needed to. But for the C major, you have the C scale. The C major scale has no sharps or flats in it, but I think that's the only scale without sharps or flats. But you have the 3 notes is C, E, and G. For a C minor chord, you have a C, E flat, and G. So for a minor chord, what really gives you from, and again, like, I don't look at suspended chords or augmented chords or dominant chords and say they sound this way or that way. I literally just look at how they build in relation to the major scale or to their bass note. And so really from a major chord to a minor chord, you're just flattening the second note in the chord. And so remember, flattening lengthens, so you're just kind of going from a sharper tone to a flatter tone from major to minor. C major 7th, you have C, E, G, and B. Clearly you can just see the C, E, and G again, and now B is going to be your 7th tone of the C major scale. C diminished is much closer structurally to a minor chord. Well, it is a minor chord, I believe. Again, just looking at it right here. But C diminished, you have the notes C, E flat, and G flat. Again, you can just see that taking the C and E flat, and flatting the G. C major dominant 7th, you have C, E, G, and B flat. And again, just I don't know why that would be major dominant 7th would be flatting the G or the B and not be a minor chord. Again, just brainstorming out loud. C minor 7th, you have C, E flat, G, and B flat. And again, really just from the structured minor chord, then you're adding the B flat, and then for the dominant 7th, you're having the major chord and then adding the B flat. So the B flat's not really changing the major or minor theme. It's the bass. You're going from a C major to a C major dominant 7th, as opposed from C minor to C minor 7th. So just thinking out loud where the B flat comes from. Then you have C major 9th. You have C, E, G, B, and D. Again, you can just see the major 9th chord is the major 7th chord with the added 9th note of the scale. C minor 9th, the same thing as a C minor 7th, C, E flat, G, B flat, and D. Again, you can just see that you're building these scales, or just adding notes to the chords that you're already playing. Like I said, when I'm composing, I'm not thinking about B flats or Gs. I'm literally just thinking about, particularly for the guitar, more so than the piano, what dexterity do I have from a given chord position to another chord position? Or again, if I have I've been playing around with new chord ideas, but I literally just look up the shapes, I'm not looking and saying, what chords are an E flat or an A major. I'm just playing shit that I think sounds good, and again, a well-fretted note's always going to sound better than some theory progression saying, this typically sounds bluesy, or this sounds better over here. It's just, if you can't really play the note, you don't have good dexterity, good fretting capacity, you're not going to be able to hear the resonance anyway. So get out those metronomes and keep practicing that. And then C minor 11th, you have C, E flat, G, B flat, and F. So you get, again, start with 3, you end up with 6 notes. And so for 6-note chords on the guitar, you're pretty much either going to have to be in first position or, barring chords, but you have a lot more available dexterity with on a piano where you can just move your hand and have more fingers. So C dominant 9th, which is also I've also seen is written as C9. You have C, E, G, B flat, and D. So again, it looks like a dominant 7th, and you just add the D note. C major 11th, you have C, E, G, B, D, and F, which is clearly just an extension of the C major 9th, and we just went over the C minor 11th. But the suspended chords, they're not in a key, right? C suspended 2nd, so your suspended chords would typically come from, again, how would you know that it's a C chord if it's not major or minor? Well, you still have the C note as your bass note. And so again, the suspended 2nd, the 2nd note, C, E, G for C major, C, E flat, G for C minor, you're suspending the 2nd note of the chord. C suspended 4th, same thing. You have C, F, and G. Again, you're suspending. Well, you're removing the 2nd note of the chord, but I'm assuming the F is the 4th note of the C scale. And then C augmented, you have C, F, and G sharp. And so it really wasn't even clear to me. Everything up into the augmented chords, like it isn't even. I don't know if that's classified as major or minor in somewhere, but it's not clear to me just the progression as where you're going from your bass note to how you're progressing the chord to call it augmented. So there you have it. That's a direct example of just, again, augmented chords, suspended chords, major, minor, the whole 7th, 9th, and 11th. You can do 13ths as well. But and then it's just showing it from the bass chord progressions. So again, like when I'm writing music, I do not think about this stuff. I think about which chords that I like that have similar dexterity hand positionings to the ones that I already know, so I can play them well. And at this point, I can certainly fret notes pretty confidently. But I hope this gave you some insight if you're struggling to pick up where this stuff's coming from. Again, like I said, I don't like the word like intervallic. An octave is clearly, if you play a C note and you move it up 12 steps, that's an octave C. But like octave doesn't mean much to me. Intervallic doesn't mean much to me. I don't like your major, like calling it by your. Because like I said, on the guitar, I don't know the notes of the scale. You can say, a major chord is, this might be wrong, but the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the scale. I think that is, I could be wrong. But I don't think like that on the guitar. I just learn the patterns. And so, and again, your major and minor differences by the minor chords flatten a note of a major chord. So there you have it. That is my insights for chord structures. I'll probably update this again every now and again, just go over the basics of what music theory is to me as I learn more stuff and prove more stuff. So again, we're not using tonic notes or root notes, we're using bass notes. Tones, note and tone are iterations of the same letters. So, hope you learned something or not. Keep practicing with your metronome, and again, theory progression is a lot less important than practicing with your metronome, making sure you have good dexterity, making sure you can actually fret or play a note. So keep practicing, just like two-set violin tells us to. We should keep practicing. So thank you for watching. Hope you learned something. See you soon.